Okay, so let me just do a quick introduction once again. So thanks everyone for actually coming for this particular series on buy or buy, okay, whereby we actually go in depth into each and individual company. And then every week I will talk about one US company and I will also talk about one Singapore companies. So today we're going to talk about this company called Skyworks. Skyworks is in the semiconductor industry and it deals a lot with 5G. So later on we're going to talk more about 5G as well. So very interesting company that is in a highly growing industry. So how I'm going to actually go through this company, I actually created this thing. We are going to talk about this format called Big Profit. So basically, Big Profit is just the acronym. We're going to talk about the background of this company, which industry is it in, what are some of the growth factors for this industry, as well as for this company. We're going to do a peer comparison. Okay, look at a competitor. We're going to look at some of the risk of this company and also what are some of the opportunity. And of course, for the last one, we are going to look at the financial fitness of this particular company. So I'm going to go through in this particular format. So it's going to be a lot clearer. When moving forward for all series, it is pretty much going to be in this format as well. And now let us start with the first one, which is the background of this company. So of course, we know that this is in the semiconductor industry. They make chips that is available in many of our smartphone, our iPhone as well. So instead of me talking, I'm going to let the company with their company video to actually share with you guys actually what is Skyworks, what is the company, and basically what products they do. So just enjoy this very, very short video.
Today's shift to faster 4G LTE networks has transformed our world yet again, ushering in an explosive array of entirely new mobile apps, including Netflix, WeChat, Spotify, Uber, Waze, and Youku. To enable this mobile internet, wireless platforms require ultra-fast, highly secure, and always-on connectivity, as well as GPS location-based services. At the same time this era of mobile technology is being ushered in, an entirely new set of adjacent wireless markets is emerging, the Internet of Things, IoT. Simply put, IoT is the connecting of any device with an on-off switch to the internet and/or each other. This includes everything from tablets, coffee makers, sprinkler systems, cars, wearable devices, and almost anything imaginable. However, this rush to connect everything all of the time is causing a digital data traffic jam. Latency in your mobile game and buffering from your video playback are minor inconveniences when compared to a missed data stream in an autonomous car. 5G is designed to alleviate this network traffic jam and optimize data flow, opening up new applications and markets requiring highly reliable and extremely fast data streams. Today's technology is quite good at handling narrow bands of frequency. However, when it comes to 4K video, live streaming, augmented reality, and other applications with high data demands, the current infrastructure system becomes overtaxed and stressed. Carrier aggregation and MIMO can improve the user experience, but it is still a workaround for what is truly needed. The solution is wider bandwidth. We can get this bandwidth in existing and new spectral radio bands via reformed LTE bands below 3 GHz through sub-6 GHz new spectrum, and even at millimeter wave bands. 5G brings the wider bandwidth required and will be transformational in nature, supporting data rates 100 times faster than 4G, near zero latency, data throughput at greater than 10 gigabits per second, and the capacity to enable billions of network things. It will also require a step function increase in analog performance, advanced filtering and power efficiency, adding a significant amount of complexity. The radio front end must efficiently sort multiple LTE and new 5G NR bands, along with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and other radio spectrum frequencies. This is an order of magnitude more complicated than any mobile architecture that exists today. Customers need a solution that can leverage legacy frequencies and tackle front-end coexistence issues in a cost-effective and timely manner. Sky 5 is that solution. With decades of experience in developing innovative solutions over successive technology generations, Skyworks is poised to play a pivotal role in the development of 5G. In fact, Sky 5 will enable instantaneous HD movies, real-time biofeedback, and cars that can safely follow inches behind other traffic. The company's vision of connecting everyone and everything all the time has never been more relevant or exciting. Sky 5 makes 5G work.
Okay, yeah, I hope this video actually explains a lot. So if you find that this video is clear, can you just type in Sky 5, Sky 5. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. In fact, yeah, basically I wanted to say that, yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I think the video basically explained everything that I wanted to share. Yeah, but the video is actually very, very clear. So first of all, it understand that right now everything is using data. So the existing network, the 4G that we have is basically clogged up, the traffic is jammed. So that's why when we actually stream our video, especially 4K video, you know, then it will take some time for it to buffer. So of course, with the advancement of technology right now, you know, even if you were to wait, like for example, 5 seconds or 10 seconds for your YouTube to even stream, you'll be like, you know, the user experience starts to drop. So there's a research saying that, you know, whenever a video takes more than 6 seconds, the user experience from positive becomes negative. And I think 6 seconds is actually quite a good buffer. I think for most of us, maybe if there's a 3-second buffer, we'll be like, hey, how come there's a buffer? You know, shouldn't it be almost like a instantaneous? So moving forward, definitely this with 5G, everything is going to be instantaneous, especially when it comes to video. So that is the technology, that is the 5G technology. So what Skyworks do is basically they are the hardware, okay, supporting this 5G. So which means that without the hardware, even if you have the technology, it's not going to work. So Skyworks basically is a supplier of the radio frequency, okay, the RF components to the smartphone makers as well as other electronic manufacturer. And they actually have a lot of years in this area called radio frequency, which is RF, in particularly to the design as well as the chip manufacturing. And why they are actually one of the key leaders when it comes to the RF is because they actually have IP, intellectual property, of more than 3,000 patents worldwide. Right, so they actually have a research team to actually continuously upgrade and make sure that they're actually becoming better. So they're actually one of the leading position when it comes to this technology. So I'm going to give you another example with a short video, okay, on one of the product that is actually made using the Skyworks technology. So just now we are talking about the hardware. We know that it can be used in many areas, but this is actually one of the real product that was actually launched not too long ago, and is a real applicable use, you know, especially in the future, more product like this can be actually created. So we just take about 1 minute to actually enjoy this video.
Introducing the new and improved Pebblebee Finder 2.0. We've made replacing batteries a thing of the past, with a rechargeable battery that lasts up to 6 months on a single charge. Adjust the volume controls to make it 3 times louder than the original. Equipped with Pebblebee's patented crowd GPS technology, it's prepared for lost items even when you're not. We listen to customer feedback for more improvements, like a larger key ring so it's easier to attach. It's lighter and more rugged than the original, with an anodized metal frame for added protection. It's also water resistant, so you can explore the elements without worry, and will help you remember anything you've forgotten with our built-in left behind alerts. With a range of up to 500 feet, it's ready to track items wherever you go. The Finder 2.0 is the newest and best way that Pebblebee has your back.
Yeah, so basically this is Pebblebee. So inside this small little device, right, it actually holds this Sky 5 technology, which is one of the chip that Skyworks actually created. Yeah. So very interesting. So I just want to give you an example, okay? This is one example of hardware for connectivity. So let's say we have an iPhone XX, all right? And with this iPhone XX, we use it to actually surf our Google, surf Facebook, and of course watch our favorite YouTube. So all this is possible with our iPhone XX. But imagine if this iPhone, okay, comes without the Skyworks hardware. All right, so it comes without the Skyworks hardware. So it's just like a phone with no data and with no Wi-Fi. So which means that you have a phone, but you can't go to Google, you can't go to Facebook, you can't go to YouTube because you don't have the hardware. So you need the hardware to basically enable you to be able to connect to the Wi-Fi or to able to connect to the 3G. So it is very important. So in fact, every phone, okay, every phone, anything that can connect to Wi-Fi and LTE, okay, will definitely have a hardware that is similar to Skyworks. So Skyworks is not the only company that produce this hardware. There's other companies, there's competitor that is doing something similar, but that's exactly what they're doing. And next, of course, when you watch the first video, they talk about this thing called Internet of Things, IoT. And again, this is a very, very hot topic that a lot of people is talking about. So basically, what it means is basically, this is in my own words, is giving a mouth to every devices out there. Okay, what do I mean by giving a mouth? Okay, so that the device, right, can actually talk to each other. So in the past, a speaker is just a speaker. It is on its own. You can connect the speaker to maybe your phone, okay, through Bluetooth, right? But nowadays you realize, for example, like this Sonos, it can actually connect to your phone as well, and the speakers can connect to each other, which means that when you have 4 of the Sonos inside your room, they can actually talk to each other, and you can have a surround system effect, all right? So which means that the machine, they are able to connect to each other through the technology, through Wi-Fi. And of course, this device definitely inside, it must have this hardware as well, so that they are able to talk to each other. So just imagine all the devices, they have a mouth, okay, so that they can talk to your phone, which also have a mouth. So your handphone also have this hardware inside as well. So consumer IoT, as you can see, it can be used in many, many different areas. So for example, surveillance, even your oven, your washing machine, your, I don't know, like for example, automotive, your cars, your smartwatch, your dish dryer, every single thing that you can think of right now that you're using right now, in the future, all they need to do is just give them this feature so that they can actually talk to each other. So one of the things is, of course, they can talk to your phone. So for example, when you wake up, you want to have your coffee, okay, then immediately from your phone, okay, even while you're on your bed, you can already do all the setting and stuff like that. So the moment you walk to your kitchen, your coffee is ready. So that's just one of the key examples that I can just think of. So the technology is already here. 5G is already here as well, okay? But of course, a lot of appliances have not adopted it yet. All right, have not adopted. And of course, many of them are starting to adopt. So as we can see, this is a growing industry. So when we talk about the industry, okay, we want to talk about the semiconductor industry as a whole. So this was actually done by Infinity Research back in 2018. They mentioned that the industry for semiconductor is moving towards this area of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, autonomous vehicle, as well as a 5G, augmented reality, and virtual reality. So these are the 4 key growth, all right, the 4 key areas when it comes to 5G, as well as when it comes to the use of semiconductor. So a lot of people say that autonomous vehicle, it seems like a dream. I don't think it will come true and stuff like that. But in reality, I would say that we are actually quite close to, I would say maybe in the next 5 years, that you will be able to see vehicles running on its own. In fact, right now that there already are vehicles that's running on its own, okay, except that it's still in the testing phase. But I'll say that in, I think about 5 years time, it could be used publicly. So everybody will get to see cars that can just move on its own. So 5G is definitely going to be the next frontier. Okay, one of the key advantage, as we mentioned just now, is 5G is 100 times faster than 4G. All right, so if you think that your 4G is fast, okay, 5G is 100 times faster. Near zero latency for people who actually play games, Counter-Strike, I don't know, maybe or some of the more fast action game. Okay, you definitely want a very, very low or even a near zero latency, so that there's almost zero lag and stuff like that. And of course, with 5G, because it's just like the road. Okay, right now our 4G, the road is packed, it's like a traffic jam. So 5G, basically the whole thing about 5G is it opens up more lane. Okay, it opens up more lane, and not only that, okay, the cars that are traveling is a lot faster. Okay, so you have more car lanes, and not only that, they allow higher speed to travel. And you realize that with 5G, right, okay, it is not just the road. They even open up the airspace. So you can even have, like, for example, aeroplanes, okay, like super, super high speed is also available in 5G. So with that, right, actually it has the capacity to support a lot of other things. So that's why you realize that when it comes to 5G, it starts to open up a lot more potential, a lot more opportunities. And that is how this Internet of Things actually starts to happen. So to give you an illustration how fast 5G can be, okay, so when we talk about 3G, if you were to download a 2 hours movie, it will take you about 26 hours. Okay, in fact, 3G, you realize that it is not too long ago we were actually using 3G. Okay, and when we move to 4G, when we watch a 2 hour movie, it will take me about 6 minutes to download. All right, and when we talk about 5G, so in order for you to download a full movie, full HD 2 hour movie, it will take you only 3.6 seconds. And that is to download. So can you imagine if you are just using it to stream, it will be almost instantaneous, And so with that, a lot of things can happen because things are pretty much real time. Okay, a lot of things are able to actually detect real time. So this is something that is slightly more technical. Okay, slightly more technical, but basically we are talking about how 2G, 3G, 4G, and even up to 5G, how it works. It's basically about the wavelength. All right. So just now they were mentioning that in order for the thing to actually move faster, okay, you can look at this number, the 2.4 gigahertz, 2.6 gigahertz, and of course 3.4. The higher it goes, okay, the faster the information can be transmitted. So with 5G, first of all, they are increasing it to a sub-6. That means it is less than 6 gigahertz, okay, but higher than normal. So you can see it's within the range of about 3.4 to 3.8, somewhere within that range. That is 5G. So just now I mentioned about the airway, okay, that there will also be this very, very high speed, okay. So that is actually in the range of 26 gigahertz, 40 gigahertz, and 66 gigahertz. So those are above 20 gigahertz. So that is a different wavelength, which we call it the millimeter wavelength. So that is again available also in 5G, but that will be used less often. So which means that once 5G is opened up, so for example, for us, we are able to connect to our phone is able to connect to 5G outside and also within our house. Most of them will be using the 3.4 to 3.8, that range. All right, but when we talk about certain things like, for example, autonomous car and stuff like that, you need it to be even faster, and that is where they can actually explore the millimeter wave. Okay, that is super, super high speed, right? So I hope this is just an explanation, just for you to have a better understanding. So one of the thing also to take note is that, right, the higher the gigahertz, okay, the shorter, how to say, in a way, the shorter the wavelength can actually travel. Okay, the shorter the wavelength can actually travel. So one of the things about 5G is that, right, in order for 5G to actually happen in real life, you need to set up a lot of base station. So last time we know that in order for us to connect to radio, okay, let's say radio wave, which is on the extreme left-hand side, maybe every 100 kilometers, you just need to have a radio tower. So with this one radio tower, it can actually transmit the radio wave for maybe 100 kilometers. But as the wavelength become higher and higher, okay, the distance becomes shorter. Okay, the distance becomes shorter, which means that you need to have more base to actually set up. So in order for 5G to actually happen, right, I would say every 5 to 10 kilometers, there must be a certain station. Okay, there must be a certain station to actually transmit. So you need a lot more of all these stations for it to actually happen. And that is why the implementation of 5G will actually take time, especially in countries like, for example, US. You can have, for example, one state that is already 5G. Then you go to another state, okay, no 5G. It's because only that state, they have already set up all this infrastructure. Then maybe in another state, they haven't set up, so you won't have 5G. So it will definitely take time for 5G to implement. So now to give you also some better understanding about 5G. So when we talk about our phone, okay, inside this 2G phone, right, okay, it uses this part from Skyworks called power amplifier. So all you need is just the amplifier to amplify the signal, okay, in order for you to call somebody else. Then when it comes to 3G, all right, so that is where you start to have internet and starts to have more things. So inside your small little 3G phone, you will have the power amplifier. You also need to have a filter, okay, and also there must be switches. So they must be able to switch the wavelength. Right, so within this phone, there will be 3 chips. And all these chips is actually manufactured by Skyworks. Skyworks do manufacture the amplifier, they do the filters, and they do the switches. Then when it comes to 4G, which is most of the phone that we are using, you realize that there's even more things. Okay, there's even more things. So that is why at the top, right, you also see this thing called the front-end value per devices. Okay, front-end value per devices. What it means is that for example, on the 2G phone, for every phone, the Skyworks product is maybe worth $3. So Skyworks is able to make $3 out of that phone. But when it comes to, for example, 4G, inside that phone, okay, all the components, it can go up to $18, okay, from Skyworks, because there's more component that is needed to actually enable 4G. Then when it comes to 5G, you realize that, hey, there's even more component that is needed, okay, to be able to use 5G. And now the component, because it increases, your front-end value per device also increase. So from a company point of view, so for example, in the whole world, let's say I have 1 billion phone user. Okay, so when I'm at 5G, so let's say everybody uses Skyworks, I have 1 billion. So 1 billion times $8. So maximum my company can make is in a way $8 billion. But right now, if I still have 1 billion people in this world, 1 billion, but everybody owns a phone. But in this phone, each of them, I will be able to make $25. So you realize that I'll be able to make more as a company from 8 billion to 25 billion. So that is actually how they are able to actually grow, because their front-end value per devices actually increase when it goes to 5G. So if you can understand this portion, can you just put in 555? I just want to make sure that you all can understand. Okay, if you understand, can put 555. I hope I'm not talking alien language. Okay. At any point, if you have any questions, okay, feel free to stop me. Okay, so now next we look at the growth of this company, and how can Skyworks actually grow. So definitely based on research, Allied market research, the 5G technology market is projected to reach 667.9 billion by 2026, which is not too far from now. We are already 2020, so 6 more years. And the 5G technology market is expected to grow at a compounded annual growth rate. So every year, this market will grow 122% from 2020 all the way to 2026. So you can see that this is a very, very high growth industry, okay? Many, not just countries are pumping in a lot of money, so that, you know, they are actually one of the first to actually be able to do 5G because of the potential of it. So we know that China have already been implementing 5G, so they are actually the first. In fact, up till now, they are the in terms of number of devices that are connected to 5G, they are the number 1. Okay, so I want you all to make a guess who is on the number 2 position. Okay, when it comes to 5G utilization, and also that means how advanced they are when it comes to 5G. Can you just put in the country for position number 2? Singapore. Wow, are you sure or not? China is number 1. So we are looking for number 2. Okay, China is number 1. China is number 1. Very interesting one. Okay, yes, Fauzi is correct. Okay, and the correct answer is South Korea. Okay, South Korea is actually number 2. Okay, then of course we come to Saudi Arabia, and actually the Saudi Arabia is actually quite advanced when it comes to 5G. Okay, now we try to make a guess at Singapore. Which position are we at? Okay, we are in the top 10 now. We're in the top 10. So 1 to 10. So definitely not the first, definitely not the second. So make a guess, Singapore. Which position are we at? 1 to 10. Okay, sorry, 3 to 10. 3 to 10. Third position to the 10th position. 7. Okay, Edmund says 7. Rachel says 7. Oh, okay. Very interesting. What about the rest? Kenny say number 9. Okay, Jasmine say number 5. Okay, we just wait for 1 or 2 more. 7. Amanda says 7. Okay, let me just release the answer. So Singapore. Okay, yes, perfect. May got the correct answer. We are at the 10th position. Okay, we are the 10th position in terms of country to adopt 5G. So we're on the 10th, okay, 10 or 10th position. In fact, if you look at Singapore, we don't even have the infrastructure set up. If you look at the news, you search 5G Singapore, they have already asked 3 companies to actually start to build out the infrastructure, but our infrastructure is still not here yet. When other people in US, in South Korea, in China, they are already using 5G. Okay, the phone that they have already connected to 5G. They are watching the movie at 100 times faster than us. So yeah, I don't know what Singapore is doing, but anyway, that is the Singapore market. So current 5G technology market, right, currently is 5.53 billion. So we can see that from now until 2026, it's only 6 years. You can see from a 5 billion market, right, it is growing to become 600 billion. Okay, 600 billion. So that is crazy. That is crazy. So definitely, I would say that this is a company. So later, I'm going to say whether can buy or not, but I would say that if you invest into this company, definitely you want to be able to ride for years to be able to capture this market. So very, very exciting. I think this company is in the right industry. It's in the right industry and it's the right trend. So I'm going to give you, this is also a semiconductor growth driver based on individual product. We can see that although smartphone is one of the largest in terms of the market cap, okay, when it comes to the use of semiconductor, but when you talk about the growth rate, right, it's only 1.8% because most of the people already have a phone, a smartphone in particular. So the growth rate is not that fast. But we can see in areas like automotive, okay, it is actually at 13.3%. Okay, 13.3%. Then when we talk about wearables on the bottom right, okay, wearables is at a 26.2%. So all these are basically the items that will require the hardware that Skyworks actually created. So anything that is connecting to internet, you want to connect to internet, you want the device to be able to talk to each other, you will need the hardware from Skyworks. All right. And of course, automation. Okay, in order for automation to happen, which is on the bottom, definitely the machine must be able to talk to each other. All right. So again, it is a 11 billion industry that is growing at 13%. All right. So very, very interesting. So some of the top impacting factors, okay, for this industry is the growth in the number of IoT devices and the adoption of edge computing. So that's the first one. The second one is the surge in demand for content streaming services. So I'm sure that right now the number of people using YouTube and the number of people surfing TikTok, is all-time high. And I would say that actually this COVID, right, actually kind of escalate the use of internet. Okay, it kind of escalate the use of technology. So why I say that is because for example, for my parents, they are not so savvy in the technology area, but because of the COVID, they start to explore online shopping, they start to explore going online and things like that, even for example Zoom. So a lot of people actually are forced to adopt technology, especially during this COVID-19 period. So that kind of escalate the growth of, I would say, the growth of 5G or the potential of 5G. So that's why you can see that a lot of companies actually they are doing extremely well because of COVID. But of course, we know that there's certain industry like restaurants and like the airlines, they are doing very badly. And of course, for the last one, okay, is definitely the opportunity in autonomous vehicle. So everybody is very excited for autonomous vehicle. All right. So, and also I just want to elaborate a little bit more on this. So single autonomous car is expected to consume 4,000 gigabyte of data per day. Okay, 4,000 gigabyte. Okay, you didn't get it wrong. In real-time diagnostic, positioning, and vehicle-to-vehicle communication. So basically, in order for autonomous to happen, right, the car must be able to talk to each other. The car must be able to talk to the traffic light. The car must be able to talk to a lot of things. Okay, and all this is all connected through Wi-Fi. All right. And again, it requires data. So can you imagine in the current world, right, whereby our data is kept at, for example, your mobile plan, 10 gigabyte or 20 gigabyte. But one day, if you have an autonomous car, you're going to use up 4,000 gigabyte. So right now, definitely the infrastructure is not, it means you drive your car maybe for one day, or maybe for 1 hour, you have already hit your Wi-Fi, your data for the month. So definitely it doesn't make sense lah. So, but again, in the future, as you can see in China, they're actually going to make the internet even free. Okay, that means everybody will get unlimited internet, unlimited Wi-Fi. Okay, which you might not even need to subscribe. So it's basically connected, like everything is connected, and China is actually doing it. And I think Tesla, they're also coming out with so-called, I forgot what's the name for it, but basically they are going to make sure that everybody will have access to internet. Okay, through they are launching a lot of satellites and stuff like that. So because they know that, right, if I give you internet, right, internet I can give you for free, but the potential that comes from this is a lot. So for Tesla, because they're actually coming with this autonomous car, they know that in order for that to happen, first of all, everybody must have access to internet. You cannot say that, hey, I want to buy a Tesla, but then my data plan doesn't allow me, or I don't have access to internet. So it cannot be. So in order for autonomous to happen, first of all, everybody must have an unlimited data of internet. So internet must be free. Then it must be unlimited. If not, you drive halfway, your car cannot connect because you already hit your bandwidth. So it doesn't make sense. So again, what can 5G do that 4G cannot do? Of course, faster, smoother, and more realistic video. So even, for example, Zoom right now, I think the technology is really quite advanced. Okay, but with 5G, what happened is that the processing speed is even faster. So right now, I think there's like a 2-second delay. So whatever I say right now, 2 to 3 seconds later, then you are able to actually hear. So with 5G, and with the future advancement, okay, pretty much it's going to be less than 1 second, almost instantaneous. Whatever I say now, you guys are able to hear it immediately. Okay, ability to connect multiple smart devices to the same router. I think right now it's also possible, but because there's certain bandwidth issue. But with 5G, again, they expanded the bandwidth, so the traffic is a lot wider, the road is a lot wider, so more things can actually be done with your internet. And of course, for autonomous. Okay, so we have been talking about 5G, and that is already implemented. We can see that for the next 6 years, the growth is going to be tremendous. But just to let you know that there are people already talking about 6G. Okay, people are already talking about 6G. So yeah, the world is moving a lot faster. Like I said, with technology, things are moving a lot faster. So even though with 5G, people are already looking into 6G. So now I'm going to play a short video on what the future will potentially be like, okay, with 5G as well as 6G. Okay, good. So I'm gonna just finish off this video. Yep. So yeah, I hope that video actually gives you more understanding on how the use of Internet of Things can be implemented, especially after 5G. In fact, I find that a lot of the things that I actually put in the video, at the first view, it seems like a movie, like those we see in the movie, like iRobot and stuff like that. You know, very futuristic and stuff like that. But honestly, if you look at the technology involved, right, a lot of things can, in fact, is already can be done right now. So I think right now we already have the technology to actually use a screen as a touchpad. All right, and all you need to do is basically just to adapt, put in the chip from, let's say, Skyworks, so that this thing can process and then can access to the internet, can access to the Wi-Fi, so that whatever information that you need can all be shown on this, basically this transparent screen. Okay, so again, I find that it is not as far-fetched as it seems. So again, in the video, they actually projected, this is something that they created for 2030. So again, we look at right now until 2030, it is not that far. We are only 10 years difference, okay, to in a way reach that particular stage. So I would say that the next 10 years is going to be very, very exciting when it comes to technology and when it comes to the use of 5G as well. So now let's look at this company, and when we want to look at the peer comparison as well. So of course, some of the biggest, so right now for this company, one of the issue is that, right, 70% of the sales comes from mobile. Okay, comes from mobile. That means all the 4G as well as all the 5G phones that is currently available in the market. And only about 30% or less than 30% belongs to other industry. For example, some of the Internet of Things items and appliances. So when we look at the phone itself, the phone industry, within this phone, right, you can see that there's a lot of other brands that also do things that are pretty much similar to Skyworks. Okay, one of the closest competitor. Okay, I'm gonna just move to the next slide. So these are some of the key competitor, but I would say that the one that is closest to what Skyworks actually offer is this company called Qorvo, Qorvo, which is on the top right hand side. Okay, so this company Qorvo do pretty much very similar to what Skyworks offer. If you go and look at the share, how the charts of this company are also very similar to Skyworks. So they move in a very similar pattern. So one of the key difference later I'm going to share about Qorvo as compared to Skyworks, okay, if I just compare these two companies because they are just so similar, is that Qorvo, this company actually has quite a significant amount of debt. They have quite a significant amount of debt. Forgot the exact amount, but I would say that is, I forgot it's about 1 billion plus or what. Yeah, but they have certain amount of debts. But Skyworks, the good thing is this is a company with zero debt. Okay, this is a company with zero debt, and they do not have debt for quite a number of years already. So they are just working on profits, and every year they are having more cash flow. Their cash flow is very, very healthy. So although both are doing pretty well in a very similar industry, but having said that, if I compare these two, I would say that Skyworks financially will be healthier. Okay, financially will be healthier. Okay, next we look at the risks, some of the risks. So this company, right, Skyworks, as much, I believe that all of you, after seeing all the presentation, you will say that, hey, this is a good company, it's in a good industry and stuff like that. But they have one very, very important key risk, which is this thing called concentration risk. So they have a significant key customer risk, okay, because Apple contributes 50% of the 2019 revenue. So this was extracted from the annual report. You can see in 2019, 18, and 2017, the percentage was actually for 51, 47, and 39, which means that as the years goes by, the percentage becomes higher. So they become more and more reliant on Apple. I find that there's good and bad. Of course, the bad thing is if, let's say, Apple decided to just drop off Skyworks and go to Qorvo, they would actually be pretty much screwed. All right, but having said that, you can see that why is it that Apple actually increases, okay, the percentage, okay, which means that actually Apple is giving them more and more sales year after year. Okay, so in a way we can also see that there must be something that they have done right. If not, Apple will actually not, they will compare. So there must be something right that they have done, so much so that years after year, they actually become, they get more and more sales lah, okay, from Apple. And of course, we know that Apple just released the latest iPhone 11. Again, if you look inside this iPhone 11, it uses Skyworks as well. So later I'm going to also share on that. So other than Apple, we can see that Samsung and Huawei is also 12% and 10% of this company net revenue. So not too long ago, we can see that this year, right, the company sales actually got affected. Reason being, we can see it's because of trade war. So trade war affected their sales from Huawei, which means that because the US, okay, the US actually put Huawei into this Bureau entity list. So which means that it makes it harder for US company to do business with Huawei. So because of that, they actually lose quite a significant of their sales. But having said that, even having this issue with Huawei, this company is still profitable. It is still very, very profitable. But although the sales actually dropped as compared to the previous quarter and compared to the previous year, but as a company on its own, they are still very, very profitable. This is actually extracted from the latest iPhone 11 Pro Max. If you go and open up the iPhone, which I don't think you will, but somebody actually did it. So they actually put down all the different chips that is inside the iPhone. So we can see that on the left-hand side, you have items directly from Apple, you have items from Intel, and you have items from Qorvo and Skyworks as well. So you can see that Apple also does uses Qorvo items. It does use Qorvo items, right? And of course for Intel as well. So Intel, Qorvo, and Skyworks. Then on the right-hand side, we can see that they uses this company Avago 8100. So Avago 8100 is actually done by this company called Broadcom, right? Which I have also placed as one of the competitor Broadcom. So yeah, as you can see, they actually have three components like right now inside the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So when right now actually iPhone is starting to sell the phone. So as the sales actually comes, definitely when Apple sell more iPhone, naturally means that the sales of Skyworks is going to be good as well. So that's something that we can expect lah. So for this company Skyworks, they have already said that second half of the year usually the sales will be better. So we can look forward to a better sales coming from this company for the second half onwards. So what are some of the opportunities available for this company? So I would say that in two areas. Number one is, of course, the higher dollar content per phone on transition from 4G to 5G. So a lot of companies are adapting 5G. In fact, Samsung, the latest Samsung Galaxy S20, okay, if I'm not wrong, okay, if I never remember wrongly, S20 is already on 5G. So all the chips inside is 5G enabled, including our latest iPhone 11. And of course, for a lot of other China brand, I think like, for example, OnePlus, Vivo, quite a number of them actually, especially China, the phone all uses 5G. So a lot of them are using Skyworks, okay, in order for them to connect to the 5G. So that is for the first area. So moving forward, more and more phone is going to adapt 5G. And the second one is actually the higher take-up rate in IoT. So right now, as we can see that the whole area, the whole focus of this company is still 51% into Apple, and I would say total 70% into the mobile area. So leaving about 30% into IoT and the rest. But what happened is that we see that there's a higher take-up rate in IoT. There's a double-digit growth year on year for this company based on the IoT. So I hope that this is something that they can continue to grow, hopefully even faster, so that it's going to be a lot more balanced, so that they don't really have to depend so much on just the mobile segment. They can also start to move into a lot of other areas as well. Next, we look at the financial fitness, which is actually one of the last key factors that we are looking at. So 7 financial check that we want to look at. First, growing revenue, positive earnings per share, growing free cash flow, return on equity above 15%, net margin above 10%, interest coverage more than 5, PEG less than 2. All right. So again, this is something that I have went through for the last 2 examples. I'm not going to go through. If you want to find out more about what this represents, you can check back my Sheng Siong video, or you can check back my Zoom video. All right. But in short, okay, this is something that I just wanted to go through. So we see whether how this company actually perform when it comes to the financial check. So let's look at the growing revenue. So first of all, that this is a past. The revenue has been growing year after year, except for this particular year, there is a slow decline. Okay, it came down slightly. But overall, I would say that it is still healthy. So the decline partly is because of the trade war, partly because of the drop in sales coming from Huawei. Secondly, we look at the positive earnings per share. Is the company making more and more profit? Okay, answer is yes. So next we look at the cash flow. Is it growing? The answer is yes. Okay, free cash flow is very, very healthy. The company generated a free cash flow of close to 1 billion, okay, in 2019. Okay, 1 billion free cash flow. And they distributed 92% back to the shareholder through share repurchase as well as dividend. So they have, this is a company that generates a lot of money. Okay, very, very healthy cash flow. And they have about 1.1 billion cash on hand right now. All right, they have about 1.1 billion cash on hand right now. Return on equity, how efficient is the company? ROE is very, very high, 20% year after year. Okay, easily more than 20%. So again, very, very high efficiency. Net margin, what is the profit margin of this company? Okay, the profit margin of this company is something that is extremely good. Okay, their gross margin is 50%, 50%. Right. Yeah, partly because how do I say that? I'll say that, but again, it is common in this industry. But I'll say that comparing to Qorvo, I don't think Qorvo has such a high gross margin. So again, comparing these two, somehow Skyworks is able to produce things with a good margin. Okay, even though you realize that a lot of people have been saying that because Apple is their key customer, and they are supplying a lot to Apple. So what happened is that because Apple buys so much, right, they will try to press down the price. They said, hey, I'm buying so much from you. If I don't buy from you, I can buy from other people. So they can actually use that to press the price down. And even with that, they can still have a gross margin of 50%. What does it mean? Which means that if they sell a product for, let's say, $15 to Apple per iPhone, that product they sell for $15. Out of the $15, right, they able to make almost half of it, $9 is their profit. All right. So that is amazing. That is just amazing. And it is very, very healthy. Interest coverage, we talk about whether they are able to pay back their interest. So definitely for this is a pass. Why? Because this company has got no debt, right? So PEG less than 2, we look at the valuation. Is this company overvalued at the current moment, right? Again, this company based on PEG is 1.49. I actually put in, I think this was actually based on a growth rate of about 12%. Okay, this was based on a growth rate of about 12%. Which I will say that although they are actually coming down slightly in this year, but I would say that for the growth that is upcoming, that I mean the conversion to from 4G to 5G, okay, definitely I would say that 12% is something that's, I would say, is quite reasonable. Okay, a 12% growth. So based on that, PEG 1.49, I would say that in terms of valuation, this company is still considered undervalued. So looking at that, okay, I'm sure people who play mahjong, they will like it because this is what we call 清一色, okay, everything green. So yeah, I'm also very, very excited when I see this. So now I'm going to talk about the buy factor and also the BYE factor, okay. So some of the reasons why I find that this is a company that you can actually buy, because Skyworks should continue to see higher dollar content per phone, like what I just mentioned. The next one is as more and more devices become connected to the internet via the cellular networks, Skyworks can continue to find new industries that may require additional RF chip content. So like I said, this is also linked to the Internet of Things. More and more devices is going to use the hardware of Skyworks in order for them to actually connect to whatever things that they want to do. So that is a very, very huge and growing industry. And with 5G, more people is going to go into this area. And of course, the last one, 4G and 5G uses many different spectrum frequency, which require more complex antenna and signal technology. So we can see just now, within that phone right now, right, they need to squeeze in a lot of things. So sometimes it is not just having the technology to come up with one of it, but the technology to also package everything so that you can squeeze it inside your iPhone or your whatever phone, okay? So that is also the difficult part. So it is not just having the technology to create the wavelength. It is also how do you package it, how do you design it, how do you put everything in. So that is also something that Skyworks is very, very good at, all right? The designing. So everything is customized for Apple. So every individual phone there will be some slight differences lah. So it's a lot of customization involved in it. So again, with 4G and 5G, this technology is going to be more advanced, which means that certain companies that is not as advanced as Skyworks or Qorvo, they will not be able to jump into this industry. All right. And like I said, this is something that is continuing to grow. So you need a company that has a good financial power lah, and also to spend money on research so that they can continue to become better. In fact, for Skyworks, they have actually acquired 2 companies over the last, I think, a few years back. Okay, so they actually certain technology that they need, but they do not have, they actually acquire. So same thing right now, this company, I would say that their cash flow is quite healthy. So if they find any companies that has the technology that they do not have, they can actually acquire them. So that's also one of their ways to actually get the technology, okay, without building it themselves. They can actually just buy over the company that have the technology that they want to be used in this 5G. Right. So these are the buy factors, and let's talk about the sell factor lah. Yeah, actually it should be the BYE factor. Anyway, yeah. So first one, things that are not so good lah. Basically, large customer like Apple and Samsung, they actually wield significant pricing power and could exert pricing pressure on Skyworks. Yeah, so that is of course one of the key things like, especially Apple with a 51% revenue in Skyworks. It is going to be quite detrimental if Apple decided to kind of like threaten them. All right. Next, of course, Skyworks has significant customer concentration with Apple, and if Apple were to switch to another vendor, it would be a damaging blow. All right, so I think this is pretty obvious. The concentration risk is pretty obvious. Okay, but again, we can also see that Apple is not stupid. Why would you realize that in the picture that I showed you just now in the iPhone 11 Max, 11 Pro Max, Apple did not just find Skyworks. In fact, they still use certain items they use from Qorvo. They use certain items from Broadcom. Okay, reason being is also very simple. They do not want to over rely on just Skyworks. All right, so much so that if you over rely on Skyworks, then Skyworks would actually say that, hey, is it because I have the technology, that's why you have to depend on me? So now it might be the reverse way. Skyworks can say that, hey, I'm going to charge you expensive because you depend on me only. Yeah. So they actually promote healthy competition. So even for like Apple, they will take certain product from this company, some product from this company, some product from another company, so that it is pretty balanced in that sense. They don't over rely on one supplier as well. So I think the same goes for other brand as well, for Samsung as well as for some of the China brand. They also take different parts from different companies. So that will be the sell factor for me. So coming to the last part, okay, for this company, is this a buy or is it not a good buy? Okay, before I release my answer, I just want to hear from you guys. What do you think after hearing from me for the past coming to 1 hour? What is your take? Is it a buy, B-U-Y, or is it a B-Y-E? Okay, please put it into the chat group. Okay, B-Y-E or B-U-Y? Okay, so far I see everybody is B-U-Y, 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 B-U-Y. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, maybe I should share this YouTube to the CEO of Skyworks. I say, hey, I help you to promote your company. Maybe you can give me the latest iPhone. Okay, cool. I think everybody kind of agree. Yeah, help him find funding. Yeah. So kind of everybody also agree that this is a BUY. So for me, yes, you are right. For me, this company, definitely I find that this is a buy, BUY. But having said that, like I said, the strategy that I would use for this company is more of a buy share and then just hold it there. Because other than this company, I really like it. I like the industry that it is in. The financial, everything is really, really healthy. But one thing is that the overall macro situation in US is a bit uncertainty. Trade war, again, US has just started to restart the trade war again with China. We do not know how that is going to escalate. So there's certain uncertainty over there, right? And then, even by looking at the chart itself, there might be some short-term, it might come down slightly in the short term. So I would say that if you want to buy into this company, just buy the share, just hold it. I would say that if you hold it for at least the next 5 years, okay, or even if you want to hold it for 10 years, I would say that this company will definitely still be in a position to still grow even 5 to 10 years later. All right, as more and more people start to use 5G, and 5G moving forward is going to move towards 6G, I would say that this is the company that will probably also be there to support the infrastructure for 6G in the future. So buy the company, keep it there. Okay, I think this is something that I would definitely recommend. Like I said, again, disclaimer, okay, this is educational. So if you buy any company, if you buy anything, please do your own due diligence, do your own research as well. Okay, so for those of you who just hear me for the first time, okay, I just want to share with you some additional resources to end off my presentation for today. Again, if you are not inside our Telegram group, please join our Telegram, Ultimate Investor SG. How do you join? This is the link. You can take a photo later on. Okay, next up, follow us on YouTube at Ultimate Investing. So all this video, okay, whatever I just shared today, I'm going to upload it onto our YouTube channel. So if you want to revisit them, if you want to watch it again, or if you want to share it with your friend, you can actually go to our YouTube, and this video will be there in about 1 or 2 days time. And of course, for the last one is to like our Facebook page at Ultimate Investing. If you have any questions, you can actually PM us on our Facebook page. Okay, that is one way for you to actually communicate back with us.